It isn't weakness. It isn't surrender. It's power in its purest form, an iron grip that speaks louder than any empty noise they throw your way. While they scramble, weaving tales, bending perceptions to suit their fragile realities, you stand back, mute. Not because you can't speak, but because you choose not to. Each word unsaid is a statement, a roar muffled not by fear, but by a sense of control they will never grasp. Silence is a language they cannot twist, a stillness that unearths their own insecurities, leaving them with nothing but their own noise to fill the void. In the quiet, you wield a weapon sharper than any accusation, any rebuttal. Lies demand a reaction. They seek validation in the form of outrage, but your silence denies them that satisfaction. It renders their deceit hollow, hanging in the air, desperate and fragile, with no one to lean on but itself. Lies rely on chaos to thrive. They're parasites, in need of attention, feeding on confrontation, consuming the energy of response. Without that, without your engagement, they crumble. Your silence becomes their prison, a mirror held up to their hollow words, forcing them to face the frailty of their own illusions. Every whisper, every accusation, every twisted narrative loses its potency against the wall of your silence. In their world of noise, silence is an anomaly, a threat. They crave your reaction, they yearn for an answer, some acknowledgement that their words matter. But silence strips them of that comfort, leaves them stranded in a world where their words bounce back with no impact, no mark left behind. In refusing to answer, you force them into a confrontation with their own weakness, their own dependency on your response. You become an enigma, a force they can't manipulate, can't shape to fit their agenda. They lie to shape perception, to create a narrative that favors them. But silence does not cater to perception. It does not bend. It does not apologize. Silence is pure, unyielding, indifferent to their schemes. It speaks of strength, a confidence that has no need to prove itself. While they twist and turn, trying to paint a picture that supports their fragile egos, your silence cuts through, unmoved by the trivialities of their deceit. It's a refusal to play their game, a declaration that you exist outside their petty world of falsehoods and facades. In silence, you master control, bending nothing to fit into their web of lies. Words are just that, words. They're spoken and forgotten, twisted to suit agendas, reshaped to meet the needs of whoever controls the narrative. But silence, it can't be shaped, can't be tamed. It stands as a fortress, an unbreachable wall that offers no comfort, no understanding, no engagement. Lies are weak, shivering things that need constant attention to survive. But silence leaves them naked, exposed to their own insignificance. With each quiet moment, you peel back the layers of their pretense, exposing the desperation beneath. Lies seek validation, a sign they've been acknowledged, a spark to feed the illusion. But silence gives nothing, only a void, an echo of their own words coming back empty. They built their stories on the hope that you'd react, that you'd jump into their game. Instead, you retreat, watching as they unravel in the face of indifference. Each silent moment becomes a reminder that no matter how loudly they scream, how skillfully they twist, they cannot force you to respond. To remain silent in the face of deceit is a form of defiance few can withstand. It's a testament to strength, a refusal to be baited, to be dragged down to a level that diminishes you. In silence, you deny them the satisfaction of a battle, a contest they desperately want, but don't deserve. Lies are fragile. built on shifting sands, desperate for a response to stabilize them. But silence leaves them unanchored, floundering in a world where they matter only to themselves, where their impact is nullified by your indifference. Every lie spoken falls flat in the face of silence, with no counter-narrative to bolster its credibility. It becomes a whisper in a storm, drowned out by the weight of nothingness. Those who speak lies depend on the energy of others, feeding on attention, validation, rebuttal. But to offer silence is to starve the lie, to strip it of the very thing it craves most. It's a mastery of self, an act of discipline that holds more power than any retort, any defense. Silence is not passivity. It's active defiance, a rejection of the need to justify your truth. Let them lie. Let them fabricate. Let them weave their tales. Your silence remains untouched, a quiet storm that shakes them to the core, revealing their neediness, their dependency on validation. They can't fight silence, can't twist it to suit their ends. And as they realize this, as the futility of their own words dawns upon them, they falter. Silence isn't a lack of power. It's the ultimate form of it, your absence, a silent void that speaks louder than any presence. Don't underestimate it. In a world where people take for granted the constants, the ones who stay, who endure, your departure is a wound that time doesn't easily heal. The absence of a voice, of a presence, of even a familiar shadow, changes the very structure of their world. Those who grew comfortable in your presence will feel the chill the moment you step away. Every whisper, every echo, becomes a haunting reminder of what they lost. They'll come to understand, far too late, that even the silent ones, the ones they dismissed, held a weight they never appreciated until it was gone. When you walk away, it isn't just a person who leaves. It's the stability, the foundation they never cared to acknowledge. People grow used to leaning, to depending, assuming that presence will always be there, unshaken, unwavering. But absence has a way of highlighting the cracks, the gaps left unfilled. It turns silence into a spotlight, illuminating the holes that can no longer be ignored. In their quiet moments, they'll feel the echo of your absence reverberate, filling every corner they once took for granted. The weight of what is no longer there becomes heavier, more real, than anything your presence ever did. There is a strange power in the void left behind. Absence is not merely empty space. It's a statement, a force that can twist perceptions and open eyes. It makes people confront the reality they were too blind to see, forcing them to face their own weakness, their own lack. Your absence becomes their mirror, reflecting the gaps in their own souls that they used you to fill. Every missing interaction, every unspoken word becomes a scar, a reminder that you were more than they allowed themselves to believe. The irony lies in how much noise your absence creates. In silence, in nothingness, a cacophony emerges, louder than anything you could have spoken. The questions, the doubts, the regrets, these become their reality, filling the space you left with an intensity they never expected. They realize that the role you played wasn't something anyone else could fulfill, that your presence had a singularity they dismissed until it was no longer theirs to keep. Each unspoken word, each absence of laughter or comfort, begins to twist in their minds, shaping itself into something they can't escape. People often mistake presence for permanence, assuming that what they have will always be. But when you take that away, when you choose to be gone, the illusion shatters. The comfort they once held so casually slips through their fingers, leaving nothing but the aching reminder of what could have been. In that absence, they're left to grapple with the memories, with the countless moments they missed ignored, or discarded. Your absence becomes their greatest enemy, a reminder of their own failings, their own blindness. What they fail to realize is that absence has a haunting beauty, a way of embedding itself in places that presence never could. In the silence, in the emptiness, memories grow sharper, each moment replaying with new clarity. It's in these moments that the weight of who you were, what you meant, becomes undeniably real. They come to understand that your existence wasn't just something they experienced. It was something that shaped them, that held pieces of them together in ways they're only now beginning to understand. Absence changes the dynamic, turns familiar places into hollow spaces. In the absence of you, laughter feels forced, conversation hollow, everything stripped of the richness your presence once brought. People try to move on, to replace, to fill the void, but find themselves circling back, haunted by memories that refuse to fade. The human mind clings to what it lost, magnifying it in ways they never anticipated. They're left, grappling with the knowledge that the stability they took for granted was never theirs to own. You left, but the mark you made remains inescapable. Absence, in the end, becomes a teacher. It forces them to see what they once ignored, to value what they failed to cherish. The void left behind is a lesson in itself, a reminder that people aren't fixtures to be used and discarded. In your absence, they come to learn the weight of what they lost, to confront the reality they denied. The silence becomes a painful teacher, one that leaves no room for escape. And as the days pass, the gap you left only grows larger, deeper, until it's something they can't ignore. Every step away you take amplifies your worth. Each moment of silence you leave behind speaks to your strength, your resilience, your choice to refuse their noise. They realize that your silence isn't submission, isn't acceptance. It's a decision, a calculated act of self-worth. In the end, the silence they're left with is louder than any argument, any fight. It's a declaration that you will not be part of their games, that your value exists beyond their reach. Each one of us, at our core, walks this path alone. We're born into this world surrounded by others, yet even in the thick of company, we remain solitary creatures, navigating a landscape that only we truly understand. Friends, family, lovers, they may come close, may even share fragments of our story, but they will never inhabit the full depth of it. Alone we come into this world, and alone we will leave it. It's the brutal reality of existence. No matter how many faces surround you, no matter how comforting their presence might seem, you are always a singular being, carrying a life that no one else can fully see, let alone bear. And this is where the idea of self-respect, the fortress of self-reliance, becomes essential. Relying on others for validation, for happiness, is a fool's game. When you hinge your worth on the whims and perspectives of others, you hand over the keys to your very essence. How can you respect yourself if every shred of your confidence is dictated by external forces? People are unreliable. They change, they leave, they falter. Tying your self-worth to their opinions is like building a castle on sand. One wave, one misstep, and it all crumbles. Only in solitude can self-respect truly grow, unchallenged by the fickleness of others. Self-respect is born in those quiet moments when you confront yourself, stripped of illusion, without anyone's gaze to distort your reflection. It's the quiet confidence of knowing who you are, even when no one is around to affirm it. In solitude, you find the space to see yourself clearly, without the layers of expectation that others impose. This isn't loneliness, it's liberation. It's the realization that your worth isn't tied to anyone's approval. This world may try to tell you that you need others to feel complete, but real strength, real freedom, comes from understanding that you are complete, all on your own. The world will offer companionship as a balm for the solitude it fears. Society pushes the narrative of togetherness, of needing others to feel whole. But those who fear solitude are often those who fear themselves, who cannot bear to face their own reflection without the distortion of others' presence. They cling to people, to voices, to the illusion of companionship, as if it could shield them from the rawness of their own existence. But in doing so, they dilute themselves, become fragments of others' expectations, rather than a whole of their own making. There is a strange, profound power in knowing that you are alone and embracing it. It strips away the noise, the needless competition for attention, the incessant craving for validation. When you no longer look outward for approval, you reclaim a part of yourself that society constantly tries to chip away. Alone, you are unbroken, a complete universe that doesn't need the weight of others to feel significant. This is where true respect for the self is born, in the understanding that you are enough, without the adornment of others' affirmations. To search for happiness in others is to chase shadows, illusions that can never fill the void within. True happiness, true fulfillment, can only come from an inner strength that stands alone, unshaken by the shifting tides of external opinions. Those who depend on others to feel whole will forever be at the mercy of those others, forever vulnerable to their judgments, their betrayals. Self-respect demands that you be strong enough to stand alone, to find contentment in your own presence. It's a kind of power that's rare in this world, and it scares those who can't find it within themselves. Loneliness and solitude are not the same. One is a craving, a yearning for something to fill the emptiness. The other is an acceptance, a strength in being whole within oneself. The world may fear solitude, may try to paint it as something bleak, something to be avoided. But those who understand its power see it differently. Solitude is a sanctuary, a place where one's self-respect grows untainted by the opinions of others. In solitude, your worth becomes clear, untethered from the noise of society's judgments. It's where you see yourself as you truly are, without the need for embellishment. Those who seek to undermine you, to distort your worth with lies and half-truths, thrive on your dependency. They prey on the need for validation, on the weakness of those who fear solitude. But silence is louder than their lies. When you walk away, when you refuse to justify, explain, or seek approval, you shatter their hold. They expect noise. They crave reaction. But in silence, you show them that your worth does not bend to their games. Alone, you are untouchable, a force that stands independent of their distortions. There's a peace in solitude that no crowd, no companionship can replicate. It's a peace born of self-acceptance, of knowing that you need no one's approval to validate your existence. Words are as fickle as shadows, bending, twisting, made malleable by the desires of those who wield them. They slip from the tongue with ease, wrapping themselves in promises, masquerading as truth. But words are hollow, thin threads of air given too much weight. They're tools, symbols that barely scratch the surface of reality's true shape. People make grand vows, paint pictures with their words to seduce, to lull the unsuspecting heart into submission. Yet in the end, what do they mean? Nothing but echoes, sounds that fade away, leaving behind only the stark reality of actions, or the lack thereof. Promises are the bait for the naive, words strung together to soothe, to charm, to create illusions. They become cages for those who believe too easily, prisons for those who place faith in sounds rather than substance. There's power in a promise, yes, but only in its fulfillment. Empty promises are poison, slowly eroding trust, creating wounds that words alone can't heal. A promise, when kept, is a foundation. When broken, it's a ruin. And those who rely solely on promises are left grasping at smoke, chasing phantoms that dissipate the moment reality presses in. To place faith in words is to court delusion. Words, after all, can be anything: comforting lies, calculated flattery, or hollow assurances dressed in charm. People who weave words with too much ease know this. They know how to wrap them around others' hearts, to draw them in, make them believe. But words are not deeds. The wise man knows this. He sees through the language, watches what lies beneath, waits to see if the words transform into actions or fade away like mist at dawn. The silent man, he is the one to watch, for he has no need to fill the air with empty promises. A silent person, one who does not feel compelled to validate every thought with speech, understands the power of restraint. His silence is not weakness. It's a testament to understanding. While others drown in the noise of their own voices, he remains untouched, observing. He knows that words have a place, but that place is small, insignificant in the face of action. The silent man builds his world, not with promises, but with deeds, actions that cannot be twisted or misinterpreted. In silence, he reveals his intent, his loyalty, his strength, without uttering a single word. Words are for the impatient, the desperate. They're a means to project, to paint over truths one would rather not face. In contrast, actions speak in a language no words can rival, a language untainted by interpretation or deceit. To observe someone's actions, to see their choices unfold without embellishment, this is where true understanding lies. A person's actions are the bedrock of their character, solid and undeniable, stripped of illusion. The wise do not speak promises. They live them, allow their lives to testify to their intent. For in the end, all the words in the world mean nothing without the foundation of genuine action. The truly wise man doesn't need to fill the silence with explanations or justifications. He allows his actions to do the talking, for actions hold a weight that words never could. The silent man knows that in silence lies power, that in restraint lies clarity. Those who speak endlessly are often the ones who hide the most, burying truths under layers of pretty phrases and promises that mean nothing. But those who live by action, who choose silence over empty words, these are the ones who cannot be manipulated, for their lives are grounded in reality, not illusion. The hollow echoes of empty promises are a testament to the fragility of words. They build castles of expectation, only to watch them crumble at the first touch of reality. Words are easy, they're weak. They require no effort, no commitment. but actions. Actions demand sacrifice, conviction, a willingness to put oneself on the line. Words can be twisted, interpreted, misused, but actions are bare, undeniable. The silent man, who chooses deeds over speeches, becomes a fortress, impervious to manipulation, for he offers nothing that can be distorted. The silent man understands what so many fail to grasp, that words are a fleeting comfort, a distraction from the harsher truths of life. To rely on them is to seek solace in shadows, to chase after illusions. But actions are solid, real. They are the backbone of integrity, the measure of true character. Silence, in the face of lies and empty promises, becomes an act of defiance, a refusal to engage in a game built on deceit. It's a reminder that, while others may twist words to suit their needs, true strength lies in the quiet, in the choice to speak only through action. In a world so enamored with the sound of its own voice, silence becomes rebellion. It's a statement that refuses to bend, a testament that rises above the noise. The silent man is unbreakable, for he has no need to justify his worth with words. He knows that his life, his actions, are the ultimate testament.